Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready?
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Hope everybody's having a good day. Been one of those busy news days here today. Boy, I'll tell you, I almost could do like 3 of these damn videos here today. Christ, because like I said, you know, with Trump in the White House, the media is like tripping all over themselves to keep up with whatever the fuck comes out of there, out of the damn White House here, you know. Christ. So anyway, the first video I have is from Mike Polpak from Media Touch, and he's going to talk about a big loss for Trump from the Supreme Court in a 9-0 decision, you know, to bring Garcia home from El Salvador, Abrego Garcia. So let's go to that video here, and then we'll talk about that on the other side.
Or not, but when you go into the nitty-gritty molecular level DNA of these 3/4 of a page and you distill it all, there's some shockers in there, and I'm going to describe them to you right here. Only way I know how, telling the truth, I'm Midas Touch. All right, let's get into it. First of all, let's do it by the numbers. This looks to be a 9-0 decision in favor of Armando Abrego Garcia, who was illegally, as admitted by the Trump administration, as confessed by them, illegally deported over an order of an immigration judge of protection that required that he stay in the country and not be sent back to certain death or violent attack in El Salvador. Everybody admits that. One shocker of the decision is that there is, as recited by the majority, by the 9-0, a confession by the Trump administration that they knew about Armando Abrego's order of protection and they deported him anyway. And as we said before, and I said it in my prior analysis a couple of weeks ago, that could end up being the death knell for the Trump administration. I think it is. It's in the first 3 lines of the decision I'm going to read to you in a minute. That's one. Another shocker. They affirm and empower a lower court judge who's been mercilessly attacked by the Trump administration and say that on balance, she was right. Judge Paula Zinnes, who has been attacked by the Trump administration for issuing her original order back on April 4th, that the Trump administration committed an illegal act and must facilitate and effectuate the return of Abrego Garcia by last Monday at midnight. Now, that didn't happen because of an administrative stay. But in this shocker of an order, all 9, and that means the MAGA right, have reaffirmed the power and the jurisdiction of this judge, a judge who is called a leftist, a Marxist, an out-of-control, rogue, you know, left-wing judge that should be ignored with the Trump administration thumbing their nose at her. No, the Supreme Court says she was right. There was one odd choice of words. They loved the word facilitate his return that they wrote. They didn't like the word effectuate the return. Facilitate, effectuate. I'm gonna go over the differences in a moment. Here's another shocker. Not one judge, not one justice, and certainly not the 9, not the majority, not who wrote the opinion, is ordering the return of Armando Garcia into the United States. They're not ordering the return. They're empowering the federal judge who ordered that the U.S. facilitate and effectuate, or in this case, facilitate his return. So I want to make sure we get the headline straight, because sometimes they're typed out very quickly. No order of immediate return, but an order requiring the Trump administration to use all of its powers to facilitate his return. Now, here's another shocker. At the end, when I got to the part where Sotomayor, Jackson, and Kagan issued a statement, not a dissent. Another shocker, there's no dissent here. That's how I know it's 9-0. What's the shocker? When I read it, I was like, oh, here we go. They're going to do, we should have done an order. I disagree with the majority. We should have done an order for his return. Doesn't say that. all it is a recitation of the bad facts against the government, which, of course, I appreciate that she put it in there. But then saying, and kind of empowering Judge Zinnes again in Maryland, saying, you better hold the government to its proof and hold their feet to the fire. And that's it. It was more of a finger wagging than it was any real kind of substance. But I appreciate anything Sotomayor writes, and I want to cover that as well. What does it mean? And then I'll read to you from it. It means that the case has been returned to the trial judge where it sits. Her jurisdiction has not been taken away. She gets to conduct further proceedings with the instructions given by the United States Supreme Court. They're okay with facilitate, and they have told the Trump administration, you better be ready to stand and deliver in a court of law before Judge Zinnes and tell her what you've done to facilitate and other steps that could be taken. And if you haven't taken steps to facilitate, you better tell her why and how, to the extent that you can. Because you know they're going to argue, foreign affairs and executive privilege and state secrets and whatever else. The only thing that's foreign about this, just to touch on that for a minute, there's no foreign affairs angle to this, except Donald Trump decided to offload and delegate and ship off prisoners and people that were in our immigration process and send them to El Salvador. That was his choice. They make it sound like, he's busy negotiating a major war peace treaty with the El Salvadorans and like Jefferson with the French. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's just the location of the prison that you're using temporarily. You're renting space in El Salvador. That doesn't make it major foreign relations. But there is a line in there that got the Trump administration all excited, and they tried to argue that they won. These two concepts both can't be true. The lawyers for Abrego Garcia rightly read the 3/4 of a paragraph, 3/4 of a page I'm going to read you, and they said the rule of law prevailed. Bring him back now. I agree with all that. The Trump administration read it, saw the one line about, Judge Zinnes, when you get it back, you may not be able to go as far as you thought on the word effectuate. Careful there, you may cross over into foreign relations that are the province of the executive branch. Oh, yes, the Supreme Court has affirmed that we have foreign relation powers that a federal judge can't interfere with, and a rogue. They didn't say any of that. That's twisting completely out of all recognizable shape. One line in this majority opinion. I've already given you the shockers. Let me read to you from it now. This is the Supreme Court of the United States decision issued on Thursday night. On March 15, 2025, the United States removed Kilmer Armando Abrego Garcia from the United States to El Salvador. And then here's the three lines that drive the whole decision. The United States acknowledged that Abrego Garcia was subject to a withholding order, that's from an immigration judge, forbidding his removal to El Salvador, and that the removal to El Salvador was therefore illegal. The United States represents that the removal to El Salvador was the result of an administrative error. Done, dead, stick a fork in it. It's what we said was going to happen. Mr. Ruveni, who worked for the Department of Justice, past tense, admitted as he had to tell the truth in his filings before Judge Zinnes that the government knew about the order preventing his removal and put him on that plane to El Salvador anyway. Or as the lawyers for Abrego Garcia declared in their brief, this is a case of one. There's nobody with these Kafkaesque facts like Abrego Garcia. And that you can see, first 4 lines of the Supreme Court decision. That's driving it. But they continue. They talk about Judge Zinnes' order on April the 4th, directing the government to facilitate and effectuate the return of Abrego Garcia to the United States by last April. What's the difference, Popak? Let me tell you the difference. Let me use an example. Effectuate and facilitate. Okay. Facilitate means using all of your efforts, all your lawful means to try to encourage an event to happen, somebody to do something, something to happen on the other end that you don't control, but you can promote and facilitate and grease the skids so that the other counterparty does the thing you want them to do or doesn't do the thing you want them to do. Let's use a library as an example. If somebody needed to facilitate taking out a book from the library, okay, you would facilitate it. You'd show up with your library card. You'd call on the librarian. You'd show up at the right time and place. You'd ask for the right book. You'd show them the card of where it's located. If you owed any money or fines that suspended your library privileges, you'd pay them. And now you facilitated checking out a book. What you didn't do is, if all of that failed while the library was closed, you didn't break into the library and take the book off the shelf. That's effectuating the checking out of the library book. That's the difference. So the judge was right, and the Supreme Court supported her, that the Trump administration needs to tell the judge and to do it, all those things necessary to facilitate his return. Make the phone calls, fill out the paperwork, push the buttons, cut off the funding, whatever you need to do to facilitate and get from the other party the conduct that you're looking for. Make the phone call, Trump. Call Bukele. And if you're not going to do it or you can't do it, they're going to need to catalog it to Judge Zenas. But what they don't have to do is effectuate his return. They don't have to go break into the jail and go get him. And that's the difference. That would cross over into the world of foreign affairs. So here's what they say on the top of page 2. To the extent that the government's emergency application, okay, the rest of the district court's order remains in effect, right? Here's what she wrote in her order, so you know what they are affirming. She says when she granted that relief that's been affirmed now by the Supreme Court, this preliminary relief is issued to restore the status quo and to preserve Abrego Garcia's access to due process in accordance with the Constitution and governing immigration law. That is what the Supreme Court has adopted, that he has constitutional rights that need to be complied with and honored, and they are embracing that. The rest of the district courts remains in effect. Order remains in effect, but requires clarification on remand. We're sending it back to you on remand with instructions. The order properly requires the government to facilitate his release and to ensure that his case is handled as it would have been had it not been improperly sent to El Salvador. That's in accordance with the Constitution part of her order. The intended scope of the term effectuate in the order is unclear and may exceed the district court's authority. The district court should clarify its directive with due regard for the deference owed to the executive branch in the conduct of foreign affairs. For its part, the government should be prepared to share, meaning with the trial judge, what it can, a little weasel word there, concerning the steps it has taken and the prospects of further steps. What have you done to get him back to facilitate? What are you planning to do? If you're not doing it, why aren't you doing it? And that's going to be for the judge as the fact finder to go and figure out. And I don't think it's going to work for Donald Trump to say state secrets privilege or executive privilege or we're not telling you. We don't, because she's now been supercharged by this United States Supreme Court ruling in the way that they've written it. Now, let me just end it this way with Sotomayor. Sotomayor, I was like, oh, here we go. With the other two, they're going to go dissent, no dissent, just a statement. And here's the statement. The most powerful part of it is her comment that the Trump administration could have been getting him back, but instead have been arguing ridiculous points of law in the courtroom. Here's what she says on page 3. Instead of hastening to correct its egregious error, the government dismissed it as an oversight. The government's argument implies that it could, this is the scary part, could deport and incarcerate any person, including U.S. citizens, without legal consequences, so long as it does so before a court can intervene in the middle of the night. Citing back to the JGG case that they just decided on the Alien Enemies Act. But then she sort of punts. She says, nevertheless, I agree with the court's order that the proper remedy is to provide Abrego Garcia with all the process to which he would have been entitled to had he not been unlawfully removed to El Salvador. including due process of law. And at the end, she wags her finger. In the proceeding on remand, the district court, Judge Zinnes, should continue to ensure that the government lives up to its obligations to follow the law. Wow.
You know, instead of like commenting so much here on this, I'm going to just ask questions. Okay? And if you answer no to any of these questions, then what do you do to make the answer, you know, to do the right thing here? Okay, so here's the first question. Will Garcia live long enough to get back to his wife and baby? Second question. Will Trump obey the court? And should he be arrested if he doesn't obey? Next question. All the people that were denied due process, shouldn't they also be brought back as well? You know, I think well, here's one more question. If Garcia is harmed, will the government be held liable? You know what I'm saying? Would his family be able to sue the government if he's killed? Okay. You see, those are difficult questions here that, even though the Supreme Court made the decision it made, did not address any of this shit. Okay? So even though in some way it's a big win for Abrego Garcia, it's, you know, not really the kind of powerhouse response, I think, that, you know, the people here who are standing on the side of the Constitution really wanted to see here. I mean, if it's a 9-0 decision, they should have used more definite terminology here. Instead of, you know, effectuate a return of Abrego Garcia, they should say, we demand the return of Abrego Garcia, and you have until such and such day. After that, we will charge you for contempt of courts $1 billion a fucking day until he's brought back. Wouldn't that be a much better fucking response to what's going on here than to just, you know, kind of tap dance around a little bit, you know, even though it's a you know, 9-0 thing. Okay, it still feels like, oh, you know, we don't want to be too firm with Trump, you know. I mean, yeah, we don't like what he did, but, you know, let's go easy on him. No, you don't go easy on a crook like that, okay? You tell that son of a bitch, if that man doesn't step foot on this goddamn thing by the end of the day, if he doesn't step foot back on American soil by the end of the day, okay, $1 billion a day until he returns, and it will be enforced. Okay? That's what a judge does. Hey, Judge Judy, right? Okay? She don't lay down no fucking easy thing there for these people. If they committed something wrong, she's going to give it to them. Okay? That's the way judges are supposed to be. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Breaking the law because you're the president is not you know, a get out of jail free card, okay? But you see, Supreme Court created this monster. They said blanket immunity for the president, as long as it's national security, whatever the fuck reason they gave that he would want to utter, okay? Blanket immunity. Well, now, blanket immunity don't sound too good anymore now, does it? But they should have realized that when the son of a bitch was running for president. That, hey, even though Biden is the president at the moment and it sounded okay, Biden won't be president forever, and that guy's waiting in the wings. Okay? This is the reason why we have checks and balances, people. Okay? It's not for the good presidents that are sitting in office. It's for the rotten ones that get voted in there. We need those checks and balances there for those kind of fucking folks. Jesus. But you see, this is all about fucking political gamesmanship, okay? This is about getting what they can while they can get it, okay? And then once they have it, they deny it to everybody else. And what I'm talking about is this, like, blanket immunity power. Now that they got it, okay, and they wormed and wiggled their way into the fucking White House, now they're going to use it. And they're going to use it in all the wrong fucking ways. Where Joe Biden probably never would have done that. He wouldn't have abused a blanket immunity thing because he has ethics that he follows. He's not that kind of guy. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is the exact opposite of Joe Biden, which means he will do anything he has to do to get what he wants. If that means burning down the fucking Capitol, that's exactly what he's going to do. We should have learned that already, okay? No reason in the world why MAGA should come out of the fucking woodwork and sit there and support Trump, you know, and then cry about, oh, you know, he's ruining my fucking, my life savings, and, oh, you know, he's taking away this, you know, I'm fired, okay? Too bad. You supported him, you financed his fucking campaign when he didn't need your fucking money, and now you're paying the consequences. You're still spending, you're still losing. You didn't win anything. You know, they were really quick to deport all those people to El Salvador, but look how long it's taking to get these people back. Remember what I told you? It's easier to destroy than it is to create? Okay, well, they destroyed, okay, due process. They destroyed due process for over 100 and some odd people. Okay, maybe it was more. Maybe it was almost like 200 and some. I can't remember the number, but it was a lot of people. All of those people sent there, whether they deserve to be there or not, they're there now. Some of them are probably already dead, okay? I mean, imagine you being ripped out of your fucking recliner and you're shipped to El Salvador and they're out there saying, okay, work. And you're sitting there hoping that, oh, maybe Donald Trump will bring me home. Maybe he'll save me, you know, or something. No, not unless, you know, this country grows a fucking spine and says to Trump, no, you're going to obey what this court tells you, or you're out on your ear. One or the other. Take a pick. What's more important to you? Being president or being thrown out of your office? Okay? Because there is no choice here. A president does not have immunity over something like this. He broke the fucking law. This thing alone would be enough to impeach a president. The Republicans, if this was a Democrat, if Donald Trump was a Democrat and done this, the Republicans would be hammering this fucking issue home until he was out of office. You know this. I mean, look what they've gone after Bill Clinton for a fucking blowjob. I mean, if you think that, you know, that was such a big thing back then, okay, then you're an idiot, okay? But the fact is they went all out to try to get this guy over that. This, if Bill Clinton had done this, yeah, this would have been the creme de la creme of all the fucking problems that they could have impeached a president over, and Clinton would have been out over that, okay? But because it's one of their own, oh, no, you can't touch him. He's doing a great job. He's getting rid of the bores of society. He's throwing out the friggin' dregs, you know, the people we don't like, that we can't stand, throwing them out of this country. That's where they belong, in El Salvador. Okay, we don't care if they're criminals or not. They look like criminals. They sound like criminals. This is what they do. This is republicanism. This is MAGA, MAGA, MAGA right here, okay? Judge and destroy. Jesus. United States is paying for its arrogance and its racism and its misogyny, its bigotry. Okay, we're paying for that now. It's gotten so bad that it's actually destroying our way of life. Okay, we tried to ignore it. We tried to push it aside. We tried to bury it. Okay, we tried to pretend that it didn't exist. All the while, it was just growing and growing like a fucking cancer in this country. And now, the cancer is back in the White House. Okay, and here we are, trying to play catch up to this man's constant everyday crimes. You know, either we get ahead of this man, or we're just going to be trying to play catch up till he burns the country to the ground, okay, which is what he's trying to do here, folks. Make no mistake about that. Nothing that he's doing here to the economy is supposed to be a positive. All right? This matter really shouldn't be just about you know, the fate of one man here. Obviously, like I said, there's a lot of people there. And, you know, I'm sure anybody here that was, you know, families or whatever to them, you know, they want to be heard too. And they want these people back. Okay, and like I said, not all of them are criminals. Some of them, yeah, some of them are. Okay, you know, I think they, at least on the records of some of these people that they bothered to check, they found criminals, but they didn't check all of those records. Okay, ICE did not, you know, go around with a list, okay, and another list that says what, you know, if they did any crimes. They didn't do that. Okay, they just rounded people up, you know, that they thought were, you know, bad apples, okay, and they just, hey, group them all up, put them on a plane, and send them down to El Salvador, okay? And, you know, I have to wonder, I mean, do we have a sort of an arrangement with El Salvador? I mean, why El Salvador? You know, why not Guantanamo? I mean, isn't that already been set up for us? Instead, we send them there. I mean, what do we got, some kind of a, you know, a deal made with that country? Oh, if we'll send you people down there and you'll make money off of it, we'll pay you to, how, you know, to keep these people down there. I mean, is there something like that going on? I mean, I'm sure there must be. I mean, if it's Trump, there's got to be something shady and dirty going on here in the background. They're making money here somewhere. Somebody's making money. Either El Salvador is, or Trump is, or both. But I would like to see somebody dig into that and find out, you know, how the hell did that get set up? I mean, how many of you people were kind of surprised that El Salvador was getting these folks? Okay, I never would have thought that country. You know, because America, for the most part, kind of ignored it. But as soon as Trump is in there, that becomes the country we put all of our, you know, the gulag for our country, basically. And it's like, well, who made that fucking arrangement, you know, and why? They must have had plans, you know, apparently. Maybe that's where Trump got this 20 million people have to be there, because maybe the agreement was for that many, for the profits that it might bring or something. I don't know. We need to ask these questions, and we need to press the press to go and ask those fucking questions instead of throwing softball questions at Trump and getting giggles, okay? We don't need that kind of a press. What we need is fucking people who are just going to scream and shout and push the goddamn president till there's bodyguards come over there and beat the shit out of the press to shut them up. That's what we need to see. We need to see a president who doesn't give a fuck about goddamn First Amendment, so that way the rest of America will know just how corrupt that cocksucker is. That's what we need. The press have to be ready to take a beating when they go talk to him, because they should be pushing that son of a bitch to answer these questions. And when he gets pissed and he goes after the press and the media, or he says, you're banned from here, or this one's banned from here, we don't want you here, escort him out of here on his ear. When we start seeing more of that, people are going to finally realize that, hey, this guy is playing dirty. He's playing dirty. We know he's dirty. Everything he's doing is all dirty, okay? Because he won't answer the question. He's denying everything, all right? Remember, he said, oh, if a president lost 2,000 points in the stock market, he ought to be impeached. He's already lost that and then some, okay? But, no, it doesn't apply to him, all right? And we know he doesn't like the press. He only likes the ones that won't ask him hardball questions. Okay, and the press is happily, you know, as long as they can get into a press conference with him or something, they're happy with that. Okay, you guys you're pathetic. You know, CBS, NBC. You know, if you guys ain't got people with balls that are willing to push this president to the breaking point with questions, okay, then you guys aren't doing your job. You know, I'm glad I ain't paying your salaries, because you know I wouldn't give you any. We used to have some hard-hitting press in this country, but they're dead and buried now. I mean, they just because they drove Nixon nuts. You know, these people were unforgiving to him, and they pressured him to the point where he was ready to kill. You know, but hey, we don't do that no more now. So, like I said, that's what we need. We need to get to the truth. There's a lot of mess in this issue here going on. There's a lot of layers to this, And I can guarantee you, the more, as time goes on, the more is lifted out of this, the more shit we're going to find under it, okay? All right, let's go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Hello, Daniel Caldwell. This is the VA Crisis Response Hotline. We're calling to inform you that your emergency request for in-person counseling for PTSD has been denied. To stop fraud, waste, and abuse, these services will be replaced by VetCare AI, powered by Grok, an X company. President Trump and Doge Chairman Musk, thank you for your service and being part of our efforts to eliminate waste. Have a nice day. Press 1 to repeat this message. Press 2 to return to main menu. Press 3 to leave a message, and an AI operator will call you back if your problem is deemed unwasteful. Goodbye.
Many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here. You tried to say that the rest of the world...
Oh, KK Caroline, you ignorant little kumquat. Your job is getting harder and harder by the day, isn't it? But you said something there right in the very beginning, that the media clearly missed the art of the deal as you try to defend the disaster that is Donald Trump's tariff plan. And I'm 99.9% sure it isn't really a plan at all, right? I think he just wakes up every morning winging it, sitting in the Oval Office shaking a magic 8-ball to determine what to do next. But since you brought up the art of the deal, in order for us to have some faith that Donald Trump knows what he's actually doing, let's look at some excerpts, shall we? We are so cooked. Some of this shit really reads like Yogi Berra and Michael Scott got together to write a book. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes, less is more. That's actually a good one, Caroline, especially when it comes to you overlining those lips. If it can't be fun, what's the point? Anybody having fun? I'm not. If you're going to be thinking anyway, might as well think big. Wow. Good publicity is preferable to bad, but from a bottom line perspective, bad publicity is sometimes better than no publicity at all. What happens when it's all bad, though? I don't know. There are times to be aggressive, but there are also times when your best strategy is to lie back. Might want to take your own advice there, Donald. Lie back or play dead or something, please. God. Sometimes it pays to be a little wild. No, it doesn't. The final key to the way I promote is bravado. I play to people's fantasies. And play you he did, right? Okay. And lastly, this one's actually probably relative, right? Hire the best of the best. And who did you hire, Donald, to be the brains behind this tariff operation? That would be Peter Navarro, right? I mean, Peter's also an author. He wrote a book talking about these tariffs. And of course, he had a bunch of experts backing up his claims, right? One specifically, Ron Vara. Except Ron Vara isn't a real person. He made him up. He jumbled his last name Navarro to make Ron Vara. And that's who's telling our president what to do. I told you we're cooked. USA, USA, USA. Anyways, bye.
Identity theft, cyber fraud, financial scams. Who has access to your personal information should be your decision, not up to Elon Musk. That's your data, your social security account, your tax return, your student loans, your VA health records.
But Elon has cracked the code. He is now inside the agencies. He's created these algorithms that are constantly crawling through the data. And
how creepy is that?
Constantly crawling through the data.
The Wall Street Journal reports that Elon Musk has a long history of drug abuse.
Did people get upset at you if you do certain things?
LSD, cocaine, ecstasy, mushrooms, and ketamine. Is this somebody you trust? This guy? Elon Musk is dangerous to you, your family, your country, your data, your life. Just say no to Elon Musk.
Feeling my husband with 8 inches was like reliving our first time. Thanks to the salt trick, he makes me gush like a broken pipe. And just last month, I was ready to divorce my husband. But then he showed me his new 8-inch magic wand. Now, I can barely hold it in my hand. This salt trick is hands down the biggest advantage any man can have heading into 2025. I wasn't kidding when I said you should take it easy with this trick. It can turn a sad little twig into a raging anaconda. It's ridiculously simple. And it's heartbreaking to see so many men missing out on the chance to finally make their women happy. So far, this easy homemade trick has helped over 29,000 men naturally increase both size and thickness. This is the same secret top-paid adult film actors use to keep their bats way above average. It's also how they manage to handle 3, 4, or even 5 women in a row without losing their stamina. The best part? It works for men of all ages, takes just 30 seconds before bed, and can give you some incredible results in no time. If you want to skip the details and go straight to the video, just click the Watch Now button below to learn how to pull off this simple but powerful trick tonight. You should probably watch it alone, if you know what I mean. Don't waste any more time. Watch it before it gets taken down or you can't find this video anymore. Your wife or girlfriend will thank you for the rest of her life.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Don't shut it off, leave it on. It's supposed to stay on. It's got to soak. No, it's in soak mode, okay? That's the yeah, was it number 4 setting on there? That's what it is. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, the second video here is from Rebel HQ. And apparently Marjorie Taylor Greene is being accused of insider trading because they found some oddities here. When the stock market, I guess, was going down, right? Okay, the value of the stocks was dropping. Trump had said something about 3 or 4 days ago about, oh, now's the time to buy. And then about 24 hours later, everybody was buying up stock really cheap, okay? And now the stock market is going back up because of the buying, and now the value of the things that they bought is going up, okay? That would be called insider trading because Trump gives the announcement, and he right in your face, and they do that. I mean, they got rid of Martha Stewart for that, okay? She had to go to jail for that. The president does this, okay, and a whole bunch of people made a big killing, and they are happy and everything about that. They got people in the country thinking, see, Trump was right all along, okay? He was right about what? Helping out the rich? Because they were the ones waiting for the stock to go so fucking low that it would be easy to buy all that shit up. And when they started buying, hey, the market goes back up. How many of you people who lost your 401ks or something like that thought about that, you know, that, oh, maybe we should buy some stock? And did you recover your losses? No, because that wasn't meant for you to be part of. You didn't, nobody knew outside of the little club there that, you know, that exists in this country of rich people. Nobody knew outside of that what was going on. But all of a sudden now, people are scratching their head and saying, Jesus, how the hell did she walk away? This is a woman who doesn't have a history of very good investment in the stock market, and all of a sudden she's making a killing. You know, what happened here? Okay, so let's go to this video here, and then we'll talk about that here on the other side.
Hello everybody, David Schuster here. House Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia is now facing public accusations of insider trading. The headlines include Marjorie Taylor Greene's suspicious stock trade soars 29% despite tariffs, and Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene's 17 stock buys in the market crash turned to profits after Trump's tariff pause. More on Greene's trading activity in a moment. First, perhaps related to the controversy, Greene was especially prickly on this day while chairing a congressional hearing.
The American people.
The gentlelady's time has expired. Miss Stansberry. Miss Stansberry, the gentlelady's time has expired. No, you're lying to the American people.
Earlier, from her usual seat, Greene melted down and interrupted Democrat Robert Garcia while he was criticizing Robert Kennedy Jr.
He caused a measles outbreak in another country that caused the death. Absolutely. That caused.
No, he did not.
He absolutely did.
That's a lie. RFK did not cause a measles outbreak.
Miss Greene,
you sound ignorant.
Green, you are an
that's
anti-vax.
Ignorant,
you are
and that's
an
a lie.
Anti-vax conspiracy
no, I'm
theorist
for
yourself.
choice. I'm
You're
for
the
parents
number one
and people choosing.
It's not unusual for Marjorie Taylor Greene to be obnoxious, but her especially short fuse now comes amidst growing pressure on her to explain mysterious stock trades that seemed perfectly timed with the Trump administration's tariffs and then U-turn.
You know, given what the government's been doing and this administration's been doing, it would not shock me, and I hate to speculate, if we were to find out that a whole bunch of people who work in Washington as our elected leaders, one way or the other, ultimately sold stocks last week, or potentially worse than that, short.
Specifically related to Greene, the analyst Unusual Whales wrote on social media, "This is unusual." Yesterday, politician Marjorie Taylor Greene said that people panicking over tariffs are losers and failures. Today, she disclosed over a dozen stock purchases, purchasing hundreds of thousands of numerous stocks she bought when the market was deeply red. Unusual. According to a public disclosure report, as International Business Times noted, Greene invested in 17 U.S. stocks between the 3rd and 4th of April when the stock market nosedived on Trump's tariff play. From tech, semiconductor logistics, and home furnishings to apparel, banking, construction, and utilities, Greene invested mostly between $1,000 and $15,000 in stocks belonging to these industries when they declined significantly on fears of recession and an escalating global trade war. All of the stocks Green purchased at the peak of the market crash rebounded yesterday, with some gaining as high as 28% in a single trading session, implying significant profits in a short span. Green's total wealth is estimated at around $22 million. And while she has a lot of investments in the markets, she does not have a record of consistently picking stock winners. As Finbold reports, given her lackluster stock pick history, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not the likeliest member of Congress to thrive in a challenging market, yet she appears to be one of the few investors to have recorded significant gains in recent weeks. Did Marjorie Taylor Greene get tipped off by the Trump White House about the tariff plan and then later about the Trump U-turn? Here's Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
I've heard murmurings on the floor that there may have been people that knew that this was coming. And I'm very interested in seeing some of the stock disclosures that come out in when those reports are due. And I'm very interested in what members of Congress have been buying and trading stocks in the last 24 hours prior to this tariff announcement.
AOC is also raising questions about President Trump. A few hours before President Trump announced he was backtracking on most tariffs, causing stocks to skyrocket the rest of the trading session, Trump wrote on social media, "This is a great time to buy." Trump insiders who followed Trump's advice then made a huge profit.
I don't think that it was a coincidence. I don't think that Trump just coincidentally said buy stocks and then shortly later made an announcement that dramatically inflated and dramatically raised a lot of these asset prices.
On CNN, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders said the entire sequence of events involving Trump, his staff, and supporting lawmakers in Congress looks horrific.
I know for a fact. But would I be surprised if there were people who hours before knew exactly what Trump was going to do in rescinding his tariff proposals, understanding that the stock market would soar and you make huge amounts of money? Would I be shocked if we learned about that in the days to come? No, I would not.
Does that announcement that he gave cover to anybody who did buy stocks?
Well, what it does do, look, if you know 2 hours earlier that the stock market's going to go, what are you going to do? You're going to buy a hell of a lot of stock. You can invest in the stock market.
For his part, at the White House, Donald Trump laughed and bragged about his billionaire friends who made a market killing in the trading session as soon as Trump eased the tariffs.
Charles Schwab. It's not just a company, it's actually an individual. And he made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million. That's not bad, because, he's in financials. I've always been fine.
One of the biggest critics of the Trump administration is former House member and current U.S. Senator Adam Schiff. He is now demanding, urgently, an insider trading investigation.
In any administration this corrupt, it is more than necessary to ask, were people personally profiting from insider information while people's savings, their retirement accounts, were being torched? So we're writing to the White House to demand answers. Now, I am fully cognizant of the fact that the White House is probably the last place to be forthcoming about this or any other corruption in the administration. We in Congress need to do more than demand answers. We need to do the oversight necessary to get those answers. To date, Republicans have not been willing to do this. Not when it comes to insider trading, potentiality, not when it comes to anything.
And one of those Republicans in Congress who has blocked Democratic efforts is Marjorie Taylor Greene. But now, given her success in profiting from the Trump tariffs and then profiting from the Trump U-turn, there are growing calls for any investigation to include Greene. As it stands, she is already one of the most despised lawmakers in both parties. Now, her Democratic and Republican critics are claiming that Greene is also sleazy and corrupt. By the way, Trump White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt is getting fact-checked by Fox News over Leavitt's claims that Trump's tariff moves are part of a masterful strategy and that the media is ignorant and naive.
Many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here.
But what Trump is doing, according to Fox News, is backing down and folding. Here's Fox Business correspondent Charles Gasparino.
I want to tell you right now that Donald Trump outsmarted the world. Trust me, I'm an American. I support my president. But that's not really what happened here, from what I understand. What happened in the bond market overnight, the spike in yields on the 30-year and the 10-year bond, which showed that people were dumping our bonds. And who were those people dumping our bonds? Japan, the biggest holder of bonds, was selling bonds. That's what I'm getting from some very big money managers. China, maybe to some extent, but it was largely Japan and others. If you have a mass sale of bonds, that means people are losing confidence in the U.S. economy, on the ability to do deals with us. And from what I understand, this is what forced the hand of this 90-day reprieve.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Mary Bird, who wrote, "No one believes Caroline anymore. Why does anyone ever show up for her press conferences? She's just spewing bull." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about Marjorie Taylor Greene feeling the heat as insider trading accusations against her pile up.
I don't know how many people before this happened predicted that this was going to happen, all right? I don't remember anybody saying that, oh, this could be a pump and dump, okay? Or what do they call it? You know, crash the economy and then buy up all the shit and then watch it rise back. I don't know. Everybody was kind of wondering, why is he doing this? He's destroying his chances to be president, okay? Or, you know, just hurting his fucking ratings, his approval numbers, hurting the party as a whole, the Republican Party, by doing this. So why is he doing this? Well, we always have to boil everything down to a simple thing when it comes to Trump, because he's not a genius. He's not a four-dimensional chess player. Okay, what's his driving motivation in life? Money. Everything to him is about fucking money, right? So, how does this, you know, like I said, how did this equate to him and money? Well, now we know, because after the fact, we look back and we say, hey, all these people that after Trump said, let's go buy stock, now's the time to buy, I guess is what he said exactly. Now is the time to buy. And then people that bought, making profits, all of those fucking people were in on it. Okay? Can it be proven? I guess in the same way that, you know, you could say that Trump started, you know, the insurrection at the White House by telling people, you know, stand back and stand by and all these key phrases and stuff to get everybody ready. And, you know, we let that slide. But he's good at that. You know, he's got, like, these key phrases and shit. It's like, you know, what do they call it? Like, you know, people that are like sleeper agents. You know, you say something and all of a sudden they act. Okay? Everybody's in on it except the people who could benefit more from it. You know, but the ones who don't need that extra money, they're just sitting there waiting for the right time to strike. Okay? And they're waiting for Trump to give the green light. And he did. Okay? I think the problem here is that because Trump is president, everybody is looking at Trump as a president and not looking at him as a businessman. You see what I'm saying here? When he does something like this, we would never think he's going to do something like this. He's the president, right? No, he's a businessman first. Okay? He even said he was going to run this country like a business. There you go. He's a businessman first. He's not a president. So the press and you, me, and everybody in this country need to stop looking at him as a president. Okay? He's not a president. He's not acting like a president. He's acting like a man running a business. Okay? Now, I know some of you people are going to say, well, America is a business. It runs like a business. Yeah, but a president is supposed to be part of the whole government entity, where there's more to the entity than just making money, collecting taxes. And we're not really the country's not in the business to make profit. We're there to fund things, okay, that we get in return, like Social Security and Medicaid and all these things. Okay, these are not things that are designed to make profit, but to fundamentally to fund all these things that we need in this country. It's not for profit. You know, it's no more profit. If I donated money to Goodwill, okay, it's not for their profit. It's for them to help others, okay? But Trump doesn't look at it that way. He thinks that, oh, these entities here, they're not making money, they're costing us money. That's only because he sees the money coming in and then going back out in the equal amount. But he's not, you know, he's not seeing, oh, well, we should be skimming off of that and making money, making profit off of that. Okay, and if we're not going to do that, then we shouldn't have it. Like, so Social Security, how can you make money with Social Security? Okay, you can't, because what's going in there is what's going to go back out to the people. We don't get nothing out of that. So he thinks it's useless. Why should we have it? Because he ain't looking at it from the president point of view. Instead, he's looking at it as a businessman. As a president, he has to take care of the people. The people's needs come first. And if they need a Social Security system, then he creates that system so the people can prosper, you know, when they're 65 or 70, however old they are, okay? That's what they need it for. So as they work, they put money into the system, but that's not for the government to use to make money with. That's only meant to go back to the people. But now, you see, that the Republicans never liked that because they got nothing from that, the Social Security system from day one. They saw no point to it. It's not making us any money. Okay? Like taxing us wasn't enough, right? So they want to touch that, dip into that. Well, that's the way businessmen think. And, you know, a lot of the times we put politicians in government who were former businessmen. Okay? Like Mitt Romney, for example. Okay? We got a lot of people like that, you know, in government who shouldn't really be there because they're thinking like businessmen and are not thinking like, what can we do for the people? Because that's what our politicians are supposed to be there for. Okay? Not to enrich the government. The government's getting all kinds of money to do things. All right? Especially the military. But, you know, we shouldn't be using the military to make money, and we often do. We shouldn't be using, you know, Medicare or something to make money, and so let's get rid of it. We can take that money and give it to the rich as a tax break or something. All right? And that's what's going on right now. That's why Musk has been in there with a fucking chainsaw, hitting everything he can hit with that. All right? Because it's all about everything I'm cutting, that's going to the wealthy to give them their tax break that they want. That's what it's for. That's making money for the rich. Okay? So when people sit here and wonder, why is he doing this, crashing the market and all that? You got to say, well, there must be money in it for him. If he's crashing the market, somebody's going to get rich off of that. Somebody's getting rich off of that. And sure enough, Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of those they caught. Who else made money after that? Okay? Who else? Let's make a list of names here of all the folks that went and started buying on the stock market when it was at its down point, okay? And now had raked in millions of dollars now, extra, because now the market went up, okay? How many times are they going to do this here? It's going to go up, and then what are they going to do? Going to make it crash again, and then they're going to bring it back up so they can, you know what I'm saying? How many more fucking times is this going to happen here? This is not the way you make America great again, because the only people getting greater are the wealthy, and those of us on the losing end are just getting poorer. You see, they're only thinking of themselves. The rest of us are standing there in shock and awe. Like, what the hell is going on here? That's why there's going to be more protests, big ones. They're going to get bigger as time goes on. There's going to be a lot of hate out there. There's going to be a lot of violence coming this summer, especially when we had record heat last year. We're going to have another record breaker heat for this year, okay? And when people are out there, they're hot, they're miserable, okay? They're angry. The cops, you're going to have your hands full, okay? I hope you're ready for that, because I'll tell you, the crowds, you know, imagine watching 1 million plus people walking up to you, and you and just 10 others are standing there with shields, and, you know, and okay, you know what's going to happen, don't you? Okay, it ain't going to be enough that the cops will be there. They're going to have to send in the National Guard, just like they did, you know, once before. And what's going to happen is that's going to create a big fucking scandal or a problem. Someone's going to get killed, you know, some protester, and that's only going to enrage the people even more. Okay? These kind of things just continue to escalate. Trump's not going to be able to stop it. No matter how hard he wants to come down on the public, the harder he comes down, the angrier the people are going to get. They're going to fight back. I know Americans. Okay? I know how they are. Some of you might think, oh, they'll just sit back and... No. American people, I mean, you ever gone into where families are fighting with each other all the time? Okay? Any of you know families that are like that? Okay? And do you also know that if an outsider comes in and starts to interfere with that family, the whole family gangs up on that person? The United States is just like that with people. Okay, we might fight and argue with each other all the fucking time. Okay? But you put an outsider out there putting the monkey wrench into the gearbox, and the whole fucking family is going to come after them. Okay? Because we're just that kind of people. We're not what you call civil-minded people. We might try to pretend that we are, but we're rabble. At the end of the day, we are a mob. Okay? When we don't get our way, we get nasty. We get violent even. Okay? We've seen that many times. Many times in recent history. We've seen that many fucking times. Okay? People get in, I mean, as crazy as MAGA could get about their issues, the other side can get just as crazy about their issues. All right? It's not just one side that has that problem or that issue, okay? We all have the capability to get increasingly insane over something when we know it's an injustice. Okay? We know this. So don't think that, oh, people are just going to let Trump run. No. Not this country. No. Pearl Harbor. Remember that? Well, some of you. But, okay. Nobody wanted to go to war, World War II, until Pearl Harbor. That's what I'm talking about. We're the same way even today. 9/11. Okay? This whole country came together, and we didn't care where we was going to put our retaliation, right? There was a guy right there who was saying, okay, let's go over there. Hey, let's go over there. Everybody, let's go over there, okay? You know, we were looking to kick somebody's ass after 9/11. We weren't going to sit idle over that. Somebody come over here and crash our fucking buildings into the ground. We got up and we went and we slaughtered innocent people. We did all kinds of shit that we shouldn't have done because we were told that's what we were supposed to do, okay? We did all that because this country was so fucking angry after that day that we were blinded by, you know, logic. Nobody could see reason until after the fact. It was like 2-3 years later, then we realized, oh, well, you know, that was the wrong country. We shouldn't have went over there. You think anybody here gave a shit about that after? Well, maybe some did, but most people just said, oh, fuck it. We didn't like Saddam Hussein anyway. Okay? Oh, well, that's nice. Well, what about all those babies and stuff that we bombed and, you know, killed and everything just to get him out? And now the whole region is unstable, and you know, so Americans are crazy when it comes to not getting what they want or somebody taking away something they had. And if you keep pumping that fucking pump there, you know, keep doing that, eventually it's going to end up erupting into a volcano. I mean, Jesus, you know, think about it. All right, so yeah, people are mad now, but this is like the calm before the storm. We haven't seen the actual anger yet out on the streets. All right, we haven't seen it yet, but it's coming. It's coming. And Trump, well, he's good at ignoring, you know, what he doesn't want to see. He ain't going to be able to ignore it forever. Okay, right now, all he cares about is Musk getting the upper hand over me or something, or is people like him more than me, you know. And, you know, this is the things he's thinking about, okay, because he's a selfish prick. You know, it's all about him. That's what Trump is. It's all me, okay? Everybody else can go straight to hell. He doesn't care. All right? Every action he does is never going to benefit those who need the help. Remember that. Everything he does is not going to benefit the rest of this country in any way, especially those who desperately need the help. Okay? Because when he looks out the window, he doesn't see America. He sees Trump Towers, you know, or something like that. That's all he cares about. All right, the man. I guess you could give him a classification for a mental disorder here that only applies to him, because I don't. You'd have to find other people that go with it, you know, in order to make it, you know, that yeah, people could suffer with this, you know. But him, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know, Boebert, all these fucking idiots, okay, that are in his side, in his camp, okay. These sycophants here are just, you know, they're all in this together, okay, and we're not. We're just not. So, you know, if we let these people get away with this insider trading thing, okay, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, if we let them get away with it, you know, it's like, well, what's the point of even having a rule against it? Okay, think about that for a minute. I mean, we've always had a problem enforcing that fucking rule anyway, right? I mean, I could think, you know, of many people who, you know, got rich quick there off of the fucking stock market who could have been doing insider trading, but, you know, I can only think of Martha Stewart. I'm sure there must have been others that were doing it. You know, forgive me for not being able to come up with names, but I think of Martha Stewart because I never liked her anyway, but, you know, and, the thing is that, you know, we don't seem to really take much effort in going after people that do that because they say it's against the law. Well, if it's against the law and we don't enforce it, then what's the point of having the law? Okay? Why did we even write it? What was the point of making that law if we're not going to enforce it? So that's why I'm saying, you know, we really, you know, I'm sure there must have been, okay? And Trump doesn't seem to give a shit. You know, that's the mentality that shows you right there. The rich don't care about insider trading, so they must do it all the time, and we just don't know about it because they ain't got caught, you know. So he tells people right on TV, no less, you know, now's the time to buy. You know, and just like when he said during the campaign, I don't need your vote. I got all the votes I need. Another line of Trump where we should have been listening very closely and wondering what the hell did he mean by that. We didn't really think much about that, did we? Why did he tell his own fucking voters, I don't need your vote? You know, I have all the votes I need. I mean, that right there, you know, that right there should have been like the key that opens the door to unraveling the entire, you know, thing about how he cheated. You know, if we were inclined enough to wonder and find the truth out about it, okay. Certainly, what was it in Pennsylvania where they had all those people taking off the voter rolls and stuff like that? Certainly, is some another dot in the line to show that yes, there was cheating going on, okay. But I don't see many people out there really connecting those dots right now, and I'm not sure why that is. But there must be something. I mean, people are saying, you know, how the hell can a guy who was so unpopular win in the manner he did against someone who was overqualified to be president? Okay, and we put in a criminal. You know, there's still a lot of Americans out there who are scratching their head over that, saying, how does that make sense? Make it make sense, you know. And yet, you know, they dig around and they find some oddities that happen here, some oddities that happen there, but they're not really connecting those dots, okay. And I've read somewhere somebody was saying, you know, Trump was mad about the election being stolen from him, you know, back then, because he was probably trying to cheat, but he couldn't cheat enough to win, okay. He probably already had a mechanism in place to try to win against Biden, but for some reason it didn't work, and Biden still won because he couldn't, you know, steal enough votes or create enough votes or what have you. I mean, he had a lot of people in some important positions at that time. He was calling up that in Georgia, find me some votes. That's all I need and he had this exact number of how many more he just needed. I mean, that was that's an indication that Trump was, he had something in play there to make sure that he won, but it wasn't enough. But this time, you know, in the last election, maybe that same system, he expanded it on, okay, and that got him his fucking victory, you know. So there's people out there trying to figure that one out, you know. Not everyone's buying the fact that we had an honest election in the last election, okay? Not everyone is. Me, I'm the person that says, you show me the evidence and I'll follow you as far as it'll go, okay? I look at everything like a juror would look at a case, you know, for a murder trial. I want to see hard evidence. I don't want theories. I don't want circumstantial evidence thrown at me. I want to see the evidence. Point me in that direction. How does A lead to all the way to Z, okay? Tell me. I mean, if we was to do math, remember how we was in school, we was learning algebra, and the teacher would always want to see how we come to the answer by following our steps, because they wanted to see if we really understood how it worked, how algebra worked. That's why they wanted us to write down everything, okay, and not just come up with an answer. They want to know, how did you get to the answer? I want to see the process you use, so that way I can tell that you truly understand algebra, okay? That's the way we need to be looking at things like that. When we suspect there's a problem, okay, then let's start the investigation. Let's find some points, and let's try and connect them. They say follow the money. Well, there you go. That's a good way to start, to find A where it goes to B and C. Okay, that's how you do an investigation. I don't know if they're doing an investigation into the last election. I couldn't tell you. I really don't know. All I'm hearing is a story here, a story there, but I don't see the connection. I don't see where Trump was behind it all. Maybe we should have investigated more about the 2020 election to see how Trump might have been tampering with that back then. Now we have, you know, he took people off the voter rolls here. We gerrymandered over here. You know, it was a very tactful, very precise areas of the country that he figured he could pick up votes with, okay? So we know that there was that much going on. Was Trump behind it? Well, we know Republicans were behind it, and maybe they wanted to see Trump win, but was he actually part of the scheme? I don't know, okay? And they still haven't really, you know, come up with anything like that that shows that he, because, hey, Biden won, so who cares, right, if he tried to cheat or not? That's the reason why we never got all the answers, is because, hey, at the end of the day, he still lost, Biden won, but we should have investigated to find out what he was trying to do in order to win that, so that way if he tried it in the last election, we would know, okay, he's back at it again, and he's doing the same thing all over again. That's why we needed to do more digging into that. And that's why this last election, there's still a lot of Americans out there, you know, still saying it doesn't make sense. Okay? You know, everybody's got a piece of the puzzle, but we haven't put it all together yet. All right? But with this insider trading thing, it's not such a big puzzle, okay? And it would be very much like Trump to do something like this with his buddies or whatever you want, you know, to get them. I mean, when he's talking to the press, he's really just talking and saying things for the wealthy. You know, we all think he's talking to all of America. No. When he talks to America, what he's talking to is the rich people in America. All right? When he says, oh, we're going to make America great again, that's, hey, rich, we're going to make America great again. Okay? He ain't talking to the poor. We're going to make America great again by getting rid of all the poor here. Okay? You know, that's kind of what he's doing. All right? He's talking directly to the wealthy, but the rest of us think he's talking to us, and a lot of the MAGA people have fallen for that. He thinks he's talking to you. You show up at his rallies, and he's still telling you things, but he's not telling you who he's really aiming his you know, his comments at. Okay, he's not telling you. When he says now's the time to buy, everybody's like scratching their head. Unless you're in the stock market, you would probably know what he meant by that. But how many poor people are involved in the stock market? Very few. Okay, so they wouldn't have known what he was saying, or at least made the connection. But all the wealthy people were saying, okay, we can do it, let's go. You know, everybody knows in his little cabal here. Okay, everybody fucking knows. So I don't know what's going to come out of this, you know, in the accusations. Are they going to do an investigation? I don't know, but she seems pretty fucking defensive, as you saw. She's mad. She doesn't, you know, she's always mad. You know, maybe probably because she's doing so many wrong things, you know, that Christ, she probably can't sleep at night unless she takes 10,000 sleeping pills. Okay, but you know, she's probably got her hands in a lot of fucking dirt. And you know, she might be getting pissed now because you know, I screwed up, so somebody caught on to what I was doing, you know, and now she's probably going to be running all of her little errand boys around there to try to clean up the mess that, you know, she left behind. You know, and that's probably going to go same for everybody else that was buying stock there after Trump told them to go buy. Okay, so I don't know what's going to happen there, but it would be nice to see Marjorie Taylor Greene get in trouble for something, because, you know, her mouth is destroying this country's image. Okay, along with Trump's. But she is a mouth we could do without. Okay, we don't need people like her. All they're there for is to cause, you know, upheaval. They bring no solutions to the table. They got no fucking ideas. All right, they just show up there to act like a Karen. Okay, we don't need Karens in our government. We got enough fucking shit going on. We don't need that. All right, so that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great weekend. All right, and subscribe, comment, and share, and watch out for any health-related issues here, you know, what's going around. And be a community, help each other out, be helpful, and be responsible, okay? Before you make decisions on anything, check the facts, okay? Don't just rush into things because you might need something or whatever. Be smart about it, okay? There's a lot of shit going on where people are getting scammed all over the fucking place, okay? I don't know why. But it's happening. All right, so I'll talk to you guys later, and take care. Bye-bye.